And the left tries to assassinate Donald Trump again. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, it is the biggest story in the world right now. Yesterday, at approximately 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, another assassination attempt. This is the second one now in 60 days. And let me just echo what Donald Trump's own son, Eric Trump, reportedly now has told several reporters. Crying, weeping. He's now asking, how many more lives does my father have left? How many more assassination attempts can he reasonably survive? Because yesterday, had it not been for a Secret Service agent who spotted a would-be assassin with an AK-47 style rifle and a scope, who put his rifle in between the fence, the chain-link fence at the West Palm Beach Golf Club where Trump was playing golf. He was one hole behind. The Secret Service agents went one hole ahead of him to scope the grounds. One of them spotted Ryan Wesley Ruth, a Democratic activist. We now know this definitively. A rabid pro-Ukraine war supporter, rabid anti-Trumper, who has donated to the Democrats 20 times in the last couple of years, voted for Joe Biden, and eerily wrote on his social media that Trump is a threat to democracy and that he will be stopped. He came prepared. 2 backpacks, a GoPro camera. So he was going to record himself murdering the president. And of course, an AK-47 with a very sophisticated scope. As the sheriff said yesterday at the press briefing, Trump was only going to be several hundred yards away. It's an easy shot with that rifle and that scope. But the barrel of the gun, the muzzle of the gun, pierced the fence line, went through the fence line, and by the grace of God, and it really was, again, an act of God, a Secret Service agent, I'm just going by what the reports are saying, spotted the would-be assassin Ryan Ruth, and apparently took out his gun, and apparently they heard 4 shots. Boom, 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 boom. Ruth then dropped his gun, fled, and then was spotted by a witness as he got into his black Nissan. This witness, to me, is almost the second hero, along with the Secret Service agent, is the second hero in this story. He saw the would-be assassin. He saw Ryan Ruth. He then took out his camera, took a picture of him, took a picture of his car, even got a picture of his license plate. Immediately contacted 911. They used drone technology, and they eventually tracked him down. He was on I-95 trying to barrel away to safety before he was captured by police on I-95 in Martin County. Now, President Trump immediately told everyone he is fine, he is safe, he is well. That shots were fired in the vicinity of where he was. He was going between the 5th hole and the 6th hole. And apparently when you have Secret Service protection, you have several agents that stay in the hole behind you, the previous hole, to make sure no one shoots you from the back. And they send out a couple of agents into the next hole, the advanced team, to make sure that there's no assassin or someone wanting to shoot you or kill you as you go from hole to hole. Now, there are 2 huge points now that need to be addressed. And we cannot anymore as a nation shirk away. We tried, after the Butler assassination, it has done us no good. I said after the attempted assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania, on that field, I said, mark my words, they will not stop. This was a failed assassination attempt. They missed killing him by a centimeter, literally a centimeter. Had he not turned his head at the last possible second, it wouldn't have been his ear that got clipped by that bullet. It would have been his entire brain. They would have shot him in the head and he would have been dead. And I said, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And I predicted, I said, mark my words, there is going to be another assassination attempt on President Trump. And lo and behold, yesterday happened. So, let me say now what I said on X yesterday. Mark my words, they're not going to stop. There's going to be another assassination attempt on Trump. And isn't it coincidental? Talk about a coincidence. Shazam, baby! Donald Trump wins Tuesday night's presidential debate. Whatever you thought of his stylistic performance, okay, I don't want to get into that again. The fact of the matter is the post-debate polls show that it was Trump, not Kamala, that got the bounce. And that Kamala's campaign now is really falling behind in some of the key battleground states. So you have Trump losing the debate on, Trump winning the debate in November, Kamala losing the debate, Trump losing the debate, Kamala losing the debate on Tuesday. Forgive me, I'm a little upset. Trump winning the debate on Tuesday, and the Harris campaign now realizing that they're going to lose the election. And that's what yesterday's assassination attempt meant. That Trump now clearly is the front runner, and they now believe they can't beat him at the polls. If you can't beat him at the polls, kill him, assassinate him, take him out. Now, number one, and this now Trump needs to address immediately. I'm talking yesterday. In fact, he should have done it right after Butler. How did Ryan Ruth, and I want to get into greater detail about this guy, how did this nobody Democrat activist, how did he know that Trump was going to be playing golf that day yesterday? Trump's schedule was not public. Nobody in the public knew what Trump, whether he was going to be campaigning, what he would be doing, whether he'd be at Mar-a-Lago, wouldn't be at Mar-a-Lago, was he going to play golf, which golf course, there's many golf courses that he plays on. So how did he know that A, Trump was even going to be playing golf that day, B, the specific golf club that he was going to be playing at, and C, the time that he was going to be there? The West Palm Beach Trump Golf Club is about 5 miles from Mar-a-Lago. How did he know Trump was playing golf that day and it would be at that golf club at that specific time? There's no other conclusion. It's inexorable. There is a mole within Trump's security team. There is someone, whether it's within the U.S. Secret Service, or there's an FBI insider, or someone maybe very close to Trump. I don't know. But what is clear is that someone now keeps compromising the president's security. And they're working with people to take, looking for patsies to take a pot shot at Trump, to take an assassination attempt at Trump. There's no question in my mind. This man is a sitting duck. And he needs to change his security, and he needs to do it now, because I'm telling you, he's running out of lives. His son is right. Now, and the other elephant in the room. As I said on X yesterday as well, and I'm going to say it again. Yesterday's assassination attempt on Trump was an act of Democrat domestic terrorism. There's no question about it now. This was Democrat domestic terrorism. The reason why Ryan Huth was able to get in there, and the reason why he tried to murder Trump, in his own words, was because Trump is a threat to quote-unquote democracy. And this is the reckless, insightful rhetoric they're inciting, whereby they keep saying Trump is going to end democracy as we know it, cancel all elections as we know it. They are now deliberately urging and egging people to murder the president. Kamala Harris and the evil Democrats and their media allies are to blame for what happened yesterday. 620 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, here is exactly what Ryan Ruth said on X, whatever it used to be called Twitter, on X, just before he went into, made his decision to go and assassinate the president, or attempted assassination of President Trump. Democracy, in caps, is on the ballot, and we cannot lose. We cannot afford to fail. The world is counting on us to show the way. Now, he then tried to kill Trump. Now, I'm telling you, this was an act of Democrat domestic terrorism. He was clearly motivated by the hysteria, the fear-mongering, the reckless rhetoric, the lies being peddled by Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, the Democrats, and the media. In fact, Kamala did it again at her debate with Trump Tuesday night. He's a threat to democracy. It'll be the end of our republic if he wins. He's a dictator. He'll cancel all future elections. Now, my point is just this, and there's no getting around it now. If you're constantly telling the people, if you're constantly telling voters, from the president to the vice president to their presidential nominee, Kamala Harris, this is the centerpiece of her campaign, the media nonstop, the Democrats again and again and again and again and again, that should Trump win in November, he will make himself a dictator, he will end so-called democracy, and cancel all future elections. He's Hitler. Okay? He's Hitler. Well, I'm going to be very honest with you. It's then it's very rational. It's a very rational thing to do to say kill him. Of course, I'm not justifying political violence. I think it's disgusting. I think it's abhorrent. To me, what they're doing is beyond evil. But the fact of the matter is, we're so used to them attacking and smearing and libeling Trump like this, we don't realize the effect this is having on people all across the country. If someone if we were convinced that someone is about to win an election and it's going to be Nazi Germany all over again, and if this person wins, that's it. We'll never have another election again. And this person will make themselves dictator for life and start rounding people up and throwing them into concentration camps. People are going to start to try to assassinate that person. No. So the fact of the matter is that these two assassination attempts in less than 60 days from each other are squarely at the feet of Kamala, Biden, the Democrats, and the Democrat media. They are the ones who have been feeding this climate of fear and hysteria and, frankly, out and out lies. And that's why I've been saying I don't understand for the life of me why the Republicans don't come out with an absolutely united front and say, stop this demagoguery. You're going not just to get Donald Trump killed, you're going to maybe launch a civil war. That this is beyond reckless and irresponsible. And let me make it very clear, very, very clear. The media is blaming Trump. The media they're saying he's getting what he deserves. The media now is saying Trump is the one who keeps inciting so much hatred that people can't control themselves. That's why they want to kill him. In other words, the person to blame for yesterday's assassination attempt and the first assassination attempt in Butler is Trump, the victim. And what the media is now saying is they're basically the media is now justifying assassinating Trump. Well, he's bringing it to himself. He's got no one to blame but himself. They want him dead. Let's not mince words. Kamala Harris wants him dead. Joe Biden wants him dead. The deep state wants him dead. The Democrats want him dead. The media wants him dead. They want him dead. They have so dehumanized him. They have so vilified him. They have so demonized him. They want him dead. Who doesn't want Hitler dead? Who doesn't want an existential, their words, an existential threat to democracy dead? Who doesn't want a dictator, if he wins in November, and will then throw us into a dark age where all future elections are canceled? Who doesn't want that person dead? They're basically begging for someone to kill him. And I'm sorry, but this is now the conclusion that no one else wants to reach, but it's the truth. If they want him dead, what do you think they think about his supporters? The so-called deplorables. They want us dead. That's the real story now of the radicalism, the intolerance, the hatred, the domestic terrorism and political violence that is now coming from the Democrat Party and the left. My friends, it's time to speak out now. 6:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, lines are jammed. I promise I'm going to go right to the phone lines. You need to hear this, okay? Because it's not just the second assassination attempt in 60 days that took place yesterday. It's now the media's reaction, which is infinitely worse than the first assassination attempt. So, on MS Left BC, on MSNBC, Alex Witt, I want you to look it up yourself. Please, don't take my word for it. W-I-T-T, Alex Witt. Now, this is after the assassination attempt took place yesterday. And she's got a guest on, and they're both going on about how Trump needs to tone down the rhetoric. That Trump is responsible for all of this political violence and these assassination attempts being directed against him. That Trump is the problem, not the people who want to kill him. No, 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 no. That Donald is bringing this upon himself. How dare he talk about Haitian migrants in New Springfield, Ohio? How dare he talk about deporting illegals? How dare he talk about bringing peace between Russia and Ukraine? Because what we're finding out now is this guy, Ryan Ruth, was a rabid pro-Ukraine war supporter. In fact, it appears that he actually went to Ukraine to try to get mercenaries and other people from around the world to fight on behalf of Ukraine. So, I mean, by the way, and obviously with ties to the CIA. I mean, it's all coming out everywhere. So, so it's obvious now that they're saying, no. You keep saying you want to end this war in Ukraine. You keep saying you're going to deport illegals. Hey, buddy, you're going to get a bullet in the head. 60 minutes. 60 minutes. This is now according to Don Jr. He was outraged yesterday. Donald Trump Jr. WTF. In other words, what the blank. WTF is wrong with you people at 60 minutes at CBS News. Right after Trump's assassination attempt, CBS News 60 Minutes was going on showing footage of January 6th. January 6th. And going on about how Trump is an existential threat to democracy. Which is exactly what Ryan Ruth said before he went out and tried to kill him. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. What the media is now saying is, next time, don't miss. Don't blame the would-be assassins. They're trying to save our country. It's Trump that's to blame. We've now crossed the Rubicon. 617-266-6868 is the number. Now, I could play you more. We have the clips where they constantly compare Trump to Hitler, constantly compare Trump to Mussolini, constantly keep saying you have to take him out. We cannot allow Hitler to win in November. You want to talk about hate speech? They are spewing vile hatred every day on the airwaves. And yesterday, it almost led to President Trump's death. 617-266-6868. Okay, very, very quickly. This is from 617. You can text us 70470, 70470. Jeff, let me add to your point. Golf courses cover a massive amount of area. In all that acreage, how did Ryan Ruth know exactly where on the golf course Trump would be at that very time? And secondly, don't you find it interesting that the feds ordered Facebook to scrub Ryan Ruth's account? This came directly from a person who works for Meta, the company that owns Facebook. Luckily, some people were able to capture his account before it could be taken down. And all the credit to Elon Musk for leaving Ruth's X account up for the public to review. Look, there's no question this was an inside job. No question. There's no question now. The Trump family has said it. In fact, Melania did a video saying the first one was clearly an inside job and she fears for her husband's life. So it's obvious now. This was an inside job. Nobody knew Trump's daily schedule. Nobody knew. Nobody in the public knew what he was going to be doing yesterday. How did they know he was going to play golf? How did they know he was going to play golf at that golf club? And how did this guy know when, and as this person writes correctly, and where? Golf clubs are huge. Golf courses are huge. So he not only knows when, he knows exactly where on the golf course Trump's going to be playing. Someone's leaking information from the inside. Someone is giving either its Department of Homeland Security, and that's the rumor on social media, or it's coming from the Secret Service, but they're leaking it to the FBI, and the FBI now is looking for patsies to take Trump out. The FBI leadership has made no secret. They hate Trump and they want him dead. The CIA, the leadership, has made no secret about it. They hate Trump and they want him dead. So let me ask you, double-barreled question. I want to open up the phone lines. 617-266-6868 is the number. Do you believe it was an inside job? Is somebody now looking to get the president killed from within the government? And number two, does Kamala Harris, do the Democrats and the media now bear direct blame and responsibility for their reckless rhetoric against Trump? 617-266-6868. Was this an act of Democrat domestic terrorism? Lines are loaded. Let's go to Lou in Peabody. Thanks for holding, Lou, and welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Lou?
We could say we were better. However, one of the smartest books that we ever read was The Art of War at Sun Tzu, and he said, we need to know our enemies more than our friends and adversaries. And let me tell you, within minutes, because I don't have social media, but my girlfriend, whom I live with, does. And we track all of our favorites, obviously, but we also track from Nancy Pelosi to Obama to Hakeem Jeffries. Within minutes of the attack, Hakeem Jeffries says, we have to stop these MAGA Republicans at any cost. For the life of me, I had to read it 5 times. I could not believe what I was reading. I mean, of course I could, because any homicide detective would tell you there is no such thing as coincidence in murder and attempted murder. And now we've seen it twice, at least, that we know of. So I'll leave the table to you on that one.
Well, Lou, let me ask you, point blank, do you think this was a coordinated inside job?
Is it my turn now?
Go ahead, Lou, please.
Because absolutely. I mean, this isn't an accident. All of these people know there's going to be a conga line to prison, because this is akin to the mafia. You get one person on the take, and then you get 20, and then you have 40, but you have to do a bigger cover-up and a bigger cover-up. And now they're all into this cover-up. They're all taking money. They're all breaking the law. And they know Trump's not going to stop. J.D. Vance isn't going to stop. They're going to put people in position in the DOJ that they're not going to stop after them. And they shouldn't. These people need to be stopped.
They're beyond evil. Look, this is what I said on X yesterday. And I said, look, they tried to kill him once. Now they tried to kill him again. They're not going to stop. I said, mark my words. They are going to do everything in their power. They will kill him. If they need to, they'll kill Trump's family. If they have to kill J.D. Vance, they'll kill J.D. Vance. And I'm not trying to foment hysteria. I'm just telling all of you, remember, the ultimate enemy is us. That's the real enemy here. As he said, I'm just in the way. So what I'm trying to warn everybody is, when you're dealing with evil people like this, you got to be very careful. You got to watch your back, and it's time to speak out now. It's now. I'm telling you, it's now until Election Day. We all have to start speaking out. When they call Trump Hitler, they have to be denounced. When they say he's a threat to democracy, they have to be denounced. When they start calling us racists and fascists and, Hitler lovers and white supremacists, we got to stop rolling our eyes and saying these people are crazy. I mean, they're crazy, but they're dangerous. So, Lou, I agree with you. I think this is clearly now an inside job. I think it's coming from within the deep state. And yesterday, they tried and failed again. But seriously, how many lives does Trump have left? 649 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is now from the Daily Mail, also being corroborated by Newsweek. So apparently now the son of Ryan Ruth, the son of Donald Trump's attempted assassin, has now told the Daily Mail that his dad hates Trump like, quote unquote, all reasonable people, while referring to his dad as a potential martyr. So these are the kinds of left-wing circles that his father runs around with. His son says, my dad is a hero. He wanted to assassinate and kill Trump. He's a hero. He was willing to be shot and killed by the Secret Service in order to take out Trump. He is a martyr for democracy. And all reasonable people should hate Trump. And essentially, he doesn't say it, but the implication is clear, and everybody should want Trump dead. Now, this is from Bo Snerdley. Now, remember, he was Trump's executive producer for decades. And this is what pardon me? What did I say? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Bo Snerdley was Rush Limbaugh's executive producer, for decades. And this is what Bo Snerdley came out and said on X, just following the assassination attempt. Something is not making sense to me. A shooter is outside the gates of the Trump Golf Club while the former president is playing. He sticks a rifle through the fence line. The Secret Service apparently misses when he is spotted. He then, quote unquote, escapes and gets to I-95. And then Bo Snerdley goes on to say, which is about 7 to 10 minutes driving away. Only then is he apprehended. This is not making sense to me. Well, what's not making sense on many levels, and let me just say right now what many people are saying, that the leak is coming from the Department of Homeland Security. That there's someone at the Department of Homeland Security. My suspicion would be Mayorkas, okay, but that's just a suspicion. And they are leaking information about Trump's schedule. This is being leaked to the FBI. And the FBI are the ones now who are tipping off these would-be assassins. Because the FBI leadership and much now of the FBI rank and file are loaded, rife with vile anti-Trump haters. Because the FBI knows if Trump comes back to power, he is going to clean house. He's going to expose them like the roaches that they are. And if you notice, Ron DeSantis, this is a big decision. Ron DeSantis has ordered his own investigation into what happened yesterday. The FBI was immediately on the scene, immediately trying to claim jurisdiction. And Ron DeSantis is basically saying, we don't trust you. We don't trust you to conduct this investigation. So he's now ordering the police in Palm Beach County to conduct their own separate investigation. Because I don't trust the FBI as well. Remember, they buried Butler. They buried the truth about the shooter, Thomas Crooks. He was a rabid anti-Trumper. There's no question. He was another Democrat domestic terrorist. And they buried that. Just like they buried so much about what happened on that day. Notice, we don't know what really happened at Butler, Pennsylvania. Because when the FBI gets involved, their job is not to solve the problem. Their job is to sweep the problem under the rug. Especially when it comes to Trump. So, look, there's no... And by the way, if it wasn't for that witness, I don't know if they would have caught this guy. Just very quickly, we have to be crystal clear about this. So, he is waiting for Trump at a sniper's nest. He's got a GoPro camera, so he's going to film the assassination of Trump. He's got 2 backpacks. By the way, he's got ceramic tiles in one of them. Why ceramic tiles? To use them basically as a bulletproof vest to block incoming bullets. He's got an AK-47-like rifle with a very good, very powerful scope. He's got Trump where he was. He breached the exact area of the security perimeter that would give him an absolute clear line of sight to Trump. Now, again, how did he know Trump was even going to be golfing that day? Nobody knew. How did he know he'd be golfing at that specific golf club? There are tons of other golf clubs that Trump golfs at. And that he would be at that part of the golf club? At that time? It's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. So he was clearly tipped off. So there he is with the muzzle through the chain link fence. And had a Secret Service agent not spotted it, Trump would be a dead man today. Apparently, what the story they're saying is 4 shots were fired. He then gets away. But he is spotted by one of the residents, a witness. And he's not only seen, this witness, incredibly, has his phone out, boom, boom, clicks a picture of him, boom, boom, clicks a picture of his black Nissan, boom, boom, even gets his license plate. Well, now you got to catch him. How could you not catch him? You have to catch him now, thanks to his witness. The witness has him ID'd with the picture. He has his car, the make of his car, even has his license plate. You got to catch him. But as Bo Snerdley says, even then, it takes you what, another 10 minutes? In another county? He was flying apparently on I-95 in his car. I mean, he was just gunning it. And then you finally catch him? Something smells. It really stinks. It really, really stinks. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Derek on the South End. Thanks for holding, Derek, and welcome.
Jeff, this is your brother from another mother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, Derek?
I'm good. Jeff, I got a couple of points I want to make real quick, and I'll get off the phone. I agree with you. It's an inside job, but I also think this is a wag the dog moment for the Secret Service. I think this guy was recruited by the CIA, and I believe the CIA and the FBI have these guys go into these communities or to the bars, wherever these nut jobs are, and befriend them and hype these people up so that when the time comes, then, they can do some stupid things like this. But I believe that this guy, whether he was intending to shoot at that moment or not, I believe the Secret Service, this was a wag the dog where this guy was a patsy so the Secret Service can, get a good name back after Butler. But I also think this is a prerequisite to something bigger down the road if Trump let his guard down. That's just me thinking.
No, Derek, listen, look, I'm telling you, great minds think alike, as they say. And I completely agree with you. Trump now has a serious problem. He has a mole. There's a mole. Whether it's in the Secret Service, whether it's in the Department of Homeland Security, whether it's the FBI, whatever, or his own security team, I don't know. They're going to get him. I'm telling you, Derek, it's obvious now. And that's what his son was saying yesterday. That's what the whole family's saying. Look, you can only get lucky so many times. Eventually a bullet's going to hit you. The odds are, they say a cat has 9 lives. Well, he's starting to use up his 9 lives. So they're not going to stop, and this is going to keep going. What's changed, this is why they want to get him. They're no longer condemning it. The media is not condemning it. The media is saying he's bringing it upon himself. He gets what he deserves. So what the media is now doing is they're egging people on. And you're right. At this point, Derek, there are so many patsies that the FBI can use. Look, there are at least 20 to 30 million people in this country right now who have been so brainwashed, so indoctrinated to hate Trump with every fiber in their being, to see him as the second coming of Hitler, they'd be more than happy to pull the trigger. It takes almost nothing now to activate these people or convince these people or persuade these people or control these people, use them as patsies to go and assassinate the president. And by the way, they're all on social media like Ryan Ruth. Ryan Ruth was a social media addict. And it's very easy to set up an anonymous channel and start talking with them and say, you know, democracy's on the ballot, as Kamala Harris says. But look at this poll. Look at this poll. Hey, Ryan, I think this dictator's going to win. All these white supremacists, MAGA, Nazis. You know, Hitler was elected. Oh, my God. Ryan, you're a hero. You got to stop this. Only you can stop this. Well, how do I do that? Well, I hear Trump's going to be at the golf club. Really? Yeah, he's going to be at the West Palm Beach Golf Club on Sunday, 1:30, south end of the golf club. What I'm saying is, what I just did now is very plausible, very easy to do. And they don't have their fingerprints on it. They have plausible deniability because it's some whack job. But, you know, who instigated it? Who orchestrated it? Who's the one that put the idea in his head? It's them. There's no other way. I couldn't look. If I wanted to, how could I don't know what's Trump doing on Sunday? I don't know. Where's he going to be? I don't know. All I can do, I follow his public schedule. There's no public schedule. I don't know. So if I don't know, how can I assassinate the guy? This guy knew everything. Everything. So they were feeding him information. Now, if I'm Trump, he's got to listen to me now. He won't, because he's Trump, and that's just how he is. And that's part of the reasons why I admire the guy. But if I'm him, no more golfing. You got to be, till November 5th, you got to be in absolutely secure locations. You talk with a glass plate. You've got to have an army of security around you. And he should demand full, comprehensive, Secret Service protection immediately. We should demand full, comprehensive Secret Service protection immediately. How much protection Joe Biden has, Trump should have the exact same. In other words, if Biden was golfing, the whole golf course would be on lockdown. There would be security even outside of the fence, outside of the perimeter. So it would be Secret Service up the wazoo. That's what we need for Trump. That's what we should be demanding now for Trump. We should not take anything less. And I don't know if you heard that comment yesterday, Derek, but the sheriff said, well, look, he's just a former president. Because people were asking, well, hold on, whoa. How come the whole golf course wasn't locked down? How come you didn't have Secret Service protection all over the security perimeter, around the fence, everywhere, where the shooter was? They go, well, no, they can't.
You got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery. So when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right? And at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around him.
Okay, he's not the sitting president. Or else we'd have security at the shrubs, the hedges, everywhere. But hold on, Derek. When Barack Obama goes golfing, he has full Secret Service protection. Full. They shut down the golf course, the security perimeter, everywhere. Full Secret Service protection. He's an ex-president. Trump is not just a former president. He's the leading presidential candidate. Now, mark my words. There's going to be holy hell today. All you're going to hear about today. Why doesn't Trump have more security? Obama has more security than Trump. So when they say, oh, he's a former president, well, Obama's a former president, they won't be able to answer that question. The reason why he doesn't have adequate Secret Service protection, you know it, I know it, honestly now I think the world now knows it, is because they want him dead. They want him dead. Who are we kidding? So Republicans now are going to demand, how many agents does Joe Biden have? That's exactly how many agents Donald Trump now gets. How many drones? Same thing. How much do you lock down? Same thing. How much of a security perimeter? Same thing. And they're going to deny him. They're going to deny him. And let me make one last point. I'll bet you the best steak at the post-1917 steakhouse. Not one reporter today, not one, from the corrupt corporate media is going to ask Joe Biden, Mr. President, do you think Donald Trump should have the same comprehensive Secret Service protection like you do? They won't even ask him the question once because they don't want him to have the same protection as Joe Biden because they want him dead as well. That's the dirty secret. And if I'm Trump, and I'm sorry, you can be as tough as you want, you can be as courageous as you want, but sometimes you're just hurting yourself. You got to realize when you're surrounded by vipers, when you're surrounded by snakes, and that's what he is, you got to watch your back. And so everything that you do from this point forward, security first. Security first. Because there will be a third assassination attempt. And I'm telling you, one of these days, I'm going to do a show where I'm going to say it's JFK all over again. I'm telling you, he cannot survive a constant, repeated assassination attempts. No one can. 617-266-6868 is the number. And what these crazy liberals don't understand is that once they kill Trump, there's going to be no going back. I don't know what they think they're going to win, but I'm telling you, they will have crossed the ultimate Rubicon. That's not a threat. That's a fact. Brad in Salem. Thanks for holding, Brad, and welcome.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Brad. Can you hear me?
Do you know that in the Ian Fleming book Goldfinger, Auric Goldfinger said to James Bond, once is happenstance, twice is enemy action. And I called you last time about the first assassination attempt, and I'm really getting a little sickened and annoyed by this.
Oh, sorry, you mean, Brad, you're getting sickened and annoyed because they keep trying to kill him?
Yes. I mean, if I had a devious mind, I could say, well, maybe there's a MAGA supporter with terminal cancer, and he could decide, I'm sick of this, and maybe it's time for my own wet operation. I wouldn't want this to happen, but who knows what can happen with all this horrible stuff going on?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what's so dangerous about this. You know, I mean, is that what what do you want, a civil war? Is that what these liberals want? Like, I mean, is that what we're going to start doing now? Murdering each other's presidential candidates? Because you can't beat them at the ballot box? You know, and look, it is so irresponsible. It is so reckless. It is so immoral. Nothing is going to happen on November 5th when Trump wins. I mean, I think the left's going to riot. Don't get me wrong. But I mean is in terms of our democracy, quote unquote. Nothing's going to happen, man. He's going to be sworn in. He's going to be a very successful president. Should he lose the midterm elections in 2026, I'm just projecting down the road, he'll 2018 with Nancy Pelosi. Even 2020 was stolen from him. What did he do? He handed over power. What's wrong with these people? Seriously, what is wrong with them? And there'll be midterm elections. There'll be another election in 2028. Like, these idiots think he's going to make himself dictator for life. Like, you need psychiatric help. But that's what they've been convinced of with this relentless propaganda. It doesn't stop. And I got to tell you, the media now, their most powerful weapon is the media. It just doesn't end. Here. How much time left, Mike? Okay, well, I'll play it on the other side. Here. This was just, I'm going to play you MSNBC, literally just an hour or two before the assassination attempt. Like, what I'm saying is, this is the daily diet. This is every minute, every hour, every day. Whether it's MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, it doesn't matter. Well, you keep putting this out, someone's going to kill him. I've got that. Your reaction next. 7:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. This was MS Left BC, but I could do CNN. I could do ABC this week. Their Sunday show, same thing. Nothing but pure Trump hatred. Meet the Press, Meet the Mess, as I like to call it on NBC. CBS, Face the Nation. So they're all peddling the same garbage. You go channel to channel to channel to channel. This is Congresswoman, Democrat, obviously, Jasmine Crockett. This is just before the assassination attempt. Roll cut 10. Mike.
The problem isn't the people coming in. The problem is this guy and his people here that are doing the bomb threats throughout our country. Domestic terrorism is a real thing, and he is the guy that stokes it.
So, he apparently is responsible for, they're claiming bomb threats now against Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio. No evidence whatsoever. It doesn't matter. He's the domestic terrorist. Okay? Wink, wink. Take him out. Now, here is Dr. Jackie Lewis. Again, this is just before the assassination attempt. Listen to this. Again, MSNBC. Roll cut 11. Mike.
We exported racism, fascism to Nazi Germany. We exported it to South Africa, Jonathan. We know how to do it. We're good at it. And let's not pretend that Donald Trump isn't exactly like Mussolini, exactly like Hitler. He is that guy.
There you go. So the Nazis weren't Nazis. We created the Nazis. See how deeply racist we are? By the way, this woman is such an ignoramus. Oh my God, what an idiot. If you know anything about German history, the Nazi movement, I mean, Austria, Germany in the 19th century, just before World War I, after World War I, my God, is this woman stupid, okay? But anyway, let that go. So, no, we created the Nazis over 100 years ago. And now, it's here. Trump's the Hitler. Trump's the Mussolini. Kill him. That the logic is inexorable. It's completely rational. In fact, it's almost the only thing to do. If you really believe what you're saying and you keep peddling it and parroting it and regurgitating it and disseminating it over and over and over and over and over and over again, that's what it's going to lead to. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. That's what happened in Butler. And that's what's going to keep happening all the way to November 5th. So is there going to be another assassination attempt on Trump? It's not a question of if. It's a question of when. And that's why I go back to my ultimate point. I blame the Democrats, Kamala, and the media. It's their climate of hate and hysteria and fear-mongering. It is their lies. Here, let's use their terms. It is their misinformation. Disinformatio. It's their climate of misinformation and disinformation, turning this man into the second coming of Adolf Hitler, that has now led to this insane, deranged political climate that we live in. And my friends, we're on a collision course. If they're freaking out now because he's leading in the polls, what the hell are they going to do on election night when he wins? 617-266-6868 is the number. Lines are jammed. Barbara in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Barbara, and welcome.
Thanks so much for taking my phone call. Can we please accept the fact that Donald Trump is not going to be killed? He is not going to be assassinated. It is not going to happen. I have a strong belief God has put him in the place that he's in right now because that's where he needs to be. I turned off news. I was in Butler on the front row watching what happened in Butler. And I really had to kind of tune some of this stuff out because, yes, the Democrats have taken it way beyond anything imaginable, and it's stirring up all these crazies and people to do things. I hope they find the mole. President Trump has got a mole. There's somebody in his circle that knows his schedules and what's going on. Hopefully that person is going to turn up. But, Jeff, I'm telling you, this, I just can't accept that, that this is going to happen. It's inevitable. He doesn't have 9 lives. I'm telling you, it's just too distressful for me to just believe that. So can we just pray that he...
Well, look, Barbara, I prayed for him yesterday. I always pray for him. I hope to God nothing happens to him. But, look, he's got a leak. He's got an insider. He's got a mole. He's got to plug that leak. He's got to find out someone is out to get him. And we have to find out. The country needs to find out. Because God forbid, Barbara, what if one day they don't miss? That's my point. My point is we have to protect this man. It's up to us. It's up to his family. It's the country deserves better. Barbara, please hang on. I'm going to come right back to you. Don't touch that dial. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Barbara in Maryland. Barbara, a lot of people were saying St. Michael was with Trump again yesterday, fighting off the evil spirits, the evildoers, and that God had his back one more time. Barbara, I'm just curious, how far do you think the corruption and the rot goes in terms of Homeland Security Department, which now controls the Secret Service, the FBI, the CIA? Clearly, as you put it, there's now really, I think there's no debating this. There is a mole. There are insiders that want Trump dead. And they're feeding these people to the FBI, and the FBI is now coming up with these would-be assassins. How do you think it's just a few people, or do you think it's almost systemic now, widespread?
I hate to say systemic, but I think that there are quite a few variables going on here. And I'm not so sure that Iran and maybe even Ukraine may be involved in this. I was very kind of distressed to find that this man has been to Kiev. What's he doing going to Kiev? I mean, Zelensky knows that his money is probably going to get cut off. This war is going to end when President Trump gets into office because that's what he does. He's going to negotiate peace. For the life of me, I don't understand why everybody doesn't want peace, except the people that are making money on this thing. But all these young people dying, and it's ridiculous. But I just have to, continue to have faith in God to protect him. President Trump, being a New Yorker myself, he is not going to stop having his rallies because there's no surrender in this guy. And I think they're going to beef up security around him, have shields when he's outside and maybe change up some of the things that he does. But I don't expect for him to go into hiding at all because it's just not his personality. He's not going to live like that. He's not going to campaign like that. So we can just, continue to pray for him and, have the people around him that love him, will just put shields themselves around him and pray to God. I don't know what else to say, Jeff.
No, Barbara, I agree. Look, and that Secret Service agent that spotted the shooter, and really what he spotted was the barrel of the gun. He just saw this gun barrel go through the fence, the chain link fence. And he's like, what? He's like, oh my God, it's a gun. And that's what the reports are. And then he took out his gun, the Secret Service agent, and apparently shot 4 times in the direction of Ryan Ruth. Had he not spotted the muzzle of the gun going through that fence, and he says, okay, all secure, we're all fine here. And then other agents come and they're around the president. I mean, he would have had Trump dead to rights. He had him on the 6th hole, couple 100 yards away, AK-47 style rifle, powerful scope. It would have been a clean shot. Even the sheriff made that point yesterday, saying at that range, with that kind of gun and that kind of scope, it would have been an easy shot. So he had a clear line of sight. And you see, that's the other thing that's very troubling about this, Barbara. How did he know exactly where Trump was going to be? And he ends up finding the only spot in the perimeter that gives you such a clear line of sight. In other words, there's no way he could have done this on his own. There's no way. There's no way. It's impossible. It's impossible. So I go back to your point, which I think is a very perceptive one. He ends up going to Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, apparently for 6 months, to help Zelensky with the war effort. Who pays for that? I mean, he's not a wealthy man, far from it. Somebody had to pay for that. Who paid for his AK-47? Who paid for his scope? Who paid for his GoPro camera? Who paid for all of his equipment? And apparently he's recruiting mercenaries on behalf of the CIA. I mean, this is an open secret now in Kiev, in Ukraine. And he's calling for civilians all over the world to come and join Ukraine's army. And now we know for sure that he met with certain Republican members of Congress and Democrat members of Congress in D.C., as well as certain key people in the CIA. Why are they meeting this guy? What did they talk about? No. Barbara, I'm telling you, this has deep state written all over it. Barbara, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Tony in Gloucester. Thanks for holding, Tony, and welcome.
Wow, Jeff, what a day. Jeff, the way I look at it is this. I always look at the whys, and there's a lot of whys. So I'm just going to go over them briefly. The biggest one right now is because of all the work that they stole the election in 2020. We all know it. It's out there, and there's so many people, organizations suing to correct things. I think they finally figured out they can't steal it. The next thing that Trump did is he's doing what the Democrats have always said. He's bringing everybody in. He's got Elon Musk, who is going to volunteer to get things done because that's his forte. He brought in RFK Jr., which is going to be going after Fauci and all the lies and the FDA and the COVID stuff. And that's why the people love him. And they can't have that. That we are a threat to their power because Trump's going to get in. He's going to clean things up. And, yes, I do think there's got to be more of this. But the fact that they caught this guy is pretty amazing. But mark my words, I could be wrong. This guy is going to end up saying, I'm a political prisoner, is what he's going to say when the time comes and we're going to start hearing from him.
Interesting. No, interesting. Very interesting. I'm going to be surprised if he survives. I mean, if he's got some beans to spill, if he's going to spill some beans, I wouldn't be surprised if, conveniently something happens to this guy. I'm just saying. I mean, we'll see what happens. But look, to me, Tony, this is where I find things are becoming very distressing. And I'm getting no pushback by liberals. They always email or call or text or all the time. I've been saying all morning now. I go, they want him dead. Liberals want him dead. Not one has said you're wrong. In other words, it's getting now, they can see him coming back to power. They can now really see it. And they realize we may not be able to steal it this time. It's maybe too big now for us to steal. And so the only option now they have left is assassination. And so this is what I don't understand, Tony. How do you get into the mind of someone like Ryan Ruth, who thinks he's a hero if he kills Trump? His son says my dad will be a martyr for democracy if he kills Trump. Every reasonable person should hate and want Trump dead. When you now have so-called, and I put this in air quotes, respected journalists, we're talking, the establishment media, now openly coming out and saying, hey, he's bringing it upon himself. Hey, if somebody blows his head off, don't blame the shooter, blame him. They're all but begging people to kill him. They're basically saying, you want to be lionized? You want to be deified? You want to go down as a hero for democracy? Take him out. Tony, are you shocked that we've gotten to this point in our country?
After they stole the election, I started thinking yes. But I'll answer your question. It's the psychops. They've been using it for a long time. The whole thing about, what was it, the one in Michigan there? Oh, was it Proud Boys going to assassinate her or something? It's the psychops. There's always people that they can convince. I don't know if you want to call them weak minds or whatever. The useful idiots, as the communists would say. We have a lot of those. Press being the number one. And, it's sad. Even on some of the conservative networks, I'm always saying, why do they bring these libtards on the show to spout? Why do they let them go on there and just spout their lies? And they don't really, there's a few that challenge them, but for the most part, they just let them go. And you're sitting there saying, this is supposed to be a conservative station. That's how you tout yourself. But when you let the liberals come on, you let them get away with it. You let them get away with the lies. So there's a lot going on there. I think they're afraid, of being sued. I think it's the psychops. There's always these people. I have people that I know that they're not stupid people, but they eat all the liberal stuff up with a spoon. And you can't talk logic with them. They don't want to read anything. They don't want to watch anything. So they've drank the Kool-Aid.
Tony, thank you very much for that call. I get that all the time now. It's frightening. You talk to people and they're like, he's a threat to democracy. And you go, well, how? And it's like, when everyone said the earth was flat. Remember that, 500-600 years ago? You go, well, actually, it's round. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's like to even question their dogma, their orthodoxy. You're like a heretic. It's like the Spanish Inquisition. He's a threat to democracy. That's it. And you say, well, could you give me some specifics? Could you give me some evidence? Like, how is he a threat to... He just is! And this is what it leads to. What we saw yesterday at West Palm Beach. 7:50 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you can text the Kuhner Man, 70470. 70470. The audience is on fire today. Okay, this is from 917. Jeff, just a very quick reminder. A few days ago, on Tuesday, Kamala told her supporters during the presidential debate that Trump is responsible for the biggest attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Yesterday, someone tried to assassinate him. I think there's no question. I think there's no question that it's exactly that kind of incendiary rhetoric, that kind of hateful, reckless, irresponsible rhetoric that has led directly to what happened. You keep saying someone is worse than Pearl Harbor, worse than 9/11, worse than anything we've ever had since the Civil War. You're basically giving people the green light. It's not even a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. Take them out. Okay, here's one more, and then I want to go to the phone lines. This is from 508. Jeff, call me crazy, but maybe lying about what Trump has said about Charlottesville for 8 years, claiming he will end democracy, and constantly calling him Hitler should stop, since there's been yet another assassination attempt. The left is a national security threat. Bingo. And I'm going to go even further. I believe now the Democratic Party, as I told Grace last night, this is now a communist party. The Democratic Party and the media, the fake news media complex, is a national security threat. I think there's no question now. And so, my question to you, it is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Do you have trust in the FBI to conduct the investigation into Trump's assassination attempt? The FBI now is insisting they're going to take the lead, that this is their jurisdiction, and that they want to investigate the assassination attempt the way they did in Butler, Pennsylvania. Many, however, are urging Ron DeSantis to aggressively step in and essentially muscle the FBI out, saying, no, the state of Florida is going to take full control of this investigation, and that DeSantis should hold daily press conferences and keep giving the public information about what happened, the shooter, the circumstances, how the security breakdown took place. In other words, wrest this thing from the FBI, and if DeSantis will take charge, he can actually even become a legend. In other words, have DeSantis help expose the crimes and corruption of the deep state. The FBI now is wrangling. They're fighting with DeSantis over jurisdiction. They say they're going to take the lead, and they will lead the investigation. So, my question to you, do you trust the FBI, or do you believe in the FBI to conduct the investigation into Trump's assassination attempt? A, yes. B, no. I am a B all the way. All the way. I don't trust the FBI as far as I can throw them. And if Ron DeSantis' people are listening, really, you want to become a political rock star again? You want to be a political legend? You want to really bury the hatchet with MAGA once and for all? Come out today and say, I don't trust the FBI. I'm going to take the state of Florida. We are going to take over this investigation. And I'm going to be holding daily press briefings. And we are going to be releasing all the information we have to the people, to the public. And we're not going to stop till we get to the bottom of this. So anyway, we shall see. But I want to hear from you, Kuhner Country. Do you trust the FBI to investigate this? A, yes. B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN is in national ER. You can also vote via X, as you saw last night. Very active on X. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhn as in national ER. Mark in Medford. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Jeff, good morning, but not such a good morning for the Trumpster once again.
Well, Mark, I think, to be honest, he's lucky to be alive. So
absolutely.
So I think in that sense, it's, you know, it's a good, blessed morning. But on the other hand, he's got to be asking himself, who's the mole? I mean, he's, you know, his family is saying, I mean, really, Donald, how many times can you escape assassination? So I'm with you, Mark. He's got to plug that leak, and he's got to find the one who's betraying him. Because they're not going to stop, Mark. They're just not.
To give me the time to say it. First off, to answer your poll question, asking me if I trust the FBI is like asking a rat to be in charge of the friggin' cheese. Okay? Why the hell would I trust somebody that's blatantly setting me up to be killed? Trump knows this. He's not stupid. You know, this morning, I mean, you could smell it, Jeff. It's so rotten, Jeff. You could smell it like something at a wet market in Wuhan. That's how bad it smells. Okay? First off, Jeff, this morning on Fox, Jack Brewer was on there this morning. I love that guy. Former NFL player, and you know, speaks his mind. Okay? This morning, he did say, Jeff, he said, I know people, myself included, that I would work for Trump's security team. He goes, I know military people that I've grown up with that would work for Trump's security team. Then he threw out there, Jeff, he said, I also know people that were in prison that were out now and will be on Trump's security team. What's this world coming to, Jeff, when you can trust people that just got out of prison to protect Donald Trump, but you can't trust the Secret Service? This stinks to holy hell, Jeff. And if you didn't smell it after Butler, you can sure smell it now.
Well, I think, you know, you hit the nail. I mean, you really hit the nail on the head. Mark, you're right. If you can start trusting convicted felons who come out of prison more to protect the President of the United States than our own Department of Homeland Security, our own FBI, and our own Secret Service, holy mackerel. I mean, really, up is down and down is up. I mean, the whole world is inverted now. Mark, I've got to ask you, this is what I find just very disconcerting. Do they not see the blowback that's coming? I think this is going to be another huge political boost for Trump. I think he's going to gain another couple points in the polls. I think there's no question it's going to add even more sympathy to Trump. But don't they see that if they actually do, God forbid, take him out, that the country is just not going to stand for it? Like, what do they think they're winning if, God forbid, they eventually do, you know, JFK the guy, if they manage to succeed? You try once, you fail. You try again, you fail. It's obvious where it's all coming from. So, I mean, are they that stupid? Are they that arrogant? Are they that blind? Or at this point, do they just not care?
Care, Jeff. As long as he's taken out, guess what? That pretty much makes Kamala dumb as a box of rocks Harris President of the United States, because then there'll be no one to run against her. Jeff, they listen, the bottom line here is this. They know now that they can't win. They know now, Jeff, that they can't manufacture enough votes to beat Donald Trump. And if they did, 3/4 of this country would say, you're full of you-know-what. We're not going to accept this election. And once again, Jeff, we'll have a January 6th all over again, hopefully minus the riot, because that's all it was a riot. And there'll be challenges again. They'll be signed by senators again. And we're going to go through this bull crap again. But the most important thing here, Jeff, is that if Trump gets 80 million, 90 million votes this time, there is no way the country is going to believe that Kamala got more than that. It's a fact.
Mark, as always, thank you very much for that call. 6-1, he nailed it. That's the conundrum they're in now. And watch the numbers that Trump gets. So when Trump gets 80, 85, 90 million, you're going to want us to believe Kamala got 100 million? By the way, I think at that point, it's what they call an overvote. In other words, more people are going to vote. They're going to be more people who have voted than people are eligible to vote. So it'll be clear it's a steal. It's clear. Indulge me. You have 100 people that are eligible to vote. 107 people ended up voting. Well, the election was rigged and stolen. There are more people voting than were eligible to vote. So Trump is now entering that territory where he's going to get so many votes. That's why he keeps saying, make it too big to rig. Swamp the polls. Get everybody to vote. Why? Because after a certain point, they can't manufacture that many ballots because then it's obvious that it was stolen. So they're getting to that tipping point where they say, we can't manufacture enough. We just can't do it. Hence the second assassination attempt. 617-266-6868. Rich in Natick. Thanks for holding, Rich, and welcome. You want to go to Janet first? Okay. Janet in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Janet, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. How are you?
Good. How are you, Janet?
Living the dream. I just want to make some quick points. I was on the FBI site on X. They're getting shredded out there. I guess the guy from Florida that's in charge of the investigation, the FBI guy, had to scrub his social media posts of anti-Trump posts before they promoted him. And also, another interesting tidbit is both would-be assassins, Crooks, and this Ruth guy, were both featured in BlackRock commercials. Two different parts of the country, two different subject matters. The shooter yesterday, Ruth, was featured in an Azov propaganda video for BlackRock. So it's kind of like a connection where BlackRock, both assassins, are in commercials for BlackRock. It's just kind of weird, isn't it?
I don't believe in coincidences. I agree with you. Janet, I don't. Look, and BlackRock is a very powerful corporation, one of the most powerful corporations in the world, with deep ties, well documented in the Democratic Party, among the Republican establishment, in the media, with globalists and globalist billionaires. So, no, there's something going on here. And just to go back very quickly, I'll let you finish, Janet. So the FBI agent, that's the special agent in charge of this investigation, is a Jeffrey B. Veltri. I don't know if it's Veltri or Veltri. Veltri. Well, he's the guy that runs the Miami field office. A known Trump hater. A rabid anti-Trumper, who on his own social media page has been calling for Trump to be defeated again and again, saying that Trump is a threat to democracy. Trump is a threat to the Constitution. Trump is a threat to America. This is the guy. Now he's got to scrub his stuff because he's supposed to be investigating this. So that's how fair and impartial the FBI is. And they want to know why the country doesn't trust them? I mean, Janet, I'm telling you, they're going to sweep this under the rug like they did in Butler and like they've done again and again and again. The only problem they have now is that we're able to get Ryan Root's social media info, all of his posts, before they could take it down. Facebook, under the pressure from the FBI, took it down, but we were able to grab enough of it. And Elon, to his credit, is not playing ball with the FBI. He says, no. Ryan Ruth put up tweet after tweet after tweet saying Trump is a threat to democracy, democracy's on the ballot, blah, 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 blah. All of, these Democrat talking points, it's going to stay up. Because to the Democrats, you own this. But you're right, Janet. The FBI is crooked as crooked can be. And they have one of the most crooked agents, a known Trump hater, an anti-Trump viper, leading the investigation.
Yes, that's true.
Please continue, Janet. Didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to reinforce what you're saying. Which, by the way, I thought FBI agents were supposed to be apolitical. Call me crazy. And B, you want to talk about a conflict of interest. So you got a guy publicly on his own social media saying, I hate him. I hate him. He's got to go. And he's the one who's going to be leading the investigation. And then he's caught scrubbing his own political posts. And nobody at the FBI says, Jeff, Veltri, no, man, you can't be the guy in charge. I'm sorry. No problem. Because they want him leading the investigation. Because the order's been given from the top. Bury this. We got to cover our own ass now. Keep going, Janet.
Say Florida is going to investigate this. It's on the Gateway Pundit today. So DeSantis is going to do something about it.
I hope so.
The problem is the FBI, the entire government, does not give a crap about the American people not having any faith in it anymore. It's a one-party rule system. They have all the branches of government except for the Supreme Court. So they don't really care what we think. They're going to do what they do. It's totalitarian, Jeff. It is. We have gone communist overnight. And I don't know what it would take to fix this, but I know they're threatened by President Trump, threatening to reform all these agencies. And another point I wanted to make is everybody's wondering how the shooter knew Trump was golfing. Because the U.S. intel agencies are spying on him still, listening to his conversations. They haven't stopped, and they're not going to stop.
Bingo.
So, it's crazy.
Bingo. Janet, perfect call. Drop the mic. Perfect call. You nailed it. Kevin in Boston. Thanks for holding, Kevin, and welcome.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Excellent caller. And I'm actually surprised with Barbara in Maryland for her not to be aware. I mean, I didn't sleep last night. Where she was in Bethel Park in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the firefighter, the retired fire chief, Corey Capitori, I think, that saved his wife and his daughter, put his life in front, and she said she was in the front row. Wow. But Jeff, why I called, this brings me back to 1963. I mean, LBJ, what we know now, between Lee Harvey Oswald, Jack Ruby, I mean, where Lee Harvey Oswald didn't even have any forensically and any gun residue whatsoever on him. So many things. To RFK that's running now, that only got assigned Secret Service up until it was post, I think it was this August, post the attempt on Trump's life, the first attempt, is when finally, and yes, we're under a new director, but as the last caller pointed out, our deep state is so wrong. Christopher Wray, I mean, last week, lying in front of Congress the way he did on even the stats of the crime stats, and not including in certain cities like New York City that's through the roof with crime, and especially in the subway systems. Unbelievable. And let me finish up with this point. Jeff, just listen to 3 weeks ago the testimony. Why the Secret Service that's under now the deputy director, all right, cannot reveal what has gone on with July 13th at Butler Park. and I just put Dan Bongino's report. Why don't we bring in like Blackwater? I mean, the retired guy from Blackwater right now, and put these people. I just can't believe how out of control and how dangerous it is.
Kevin, look, you're dead on. He's got to get his own private security now. I'm sorry, but I think he's got to do it. He's wealthy enough to do it. He needs to do it. Get these people properly vetted, have his own private security team. And I'm sorry, there's just no other alternative. He also needs to get full comprehensive Secret Service protection that Joe Biden has. The same level now as the president. Because they're out to get him. No, look, going back to Butler, and this is a huge story that the media deliberately suppressed. It came out through the investigation that many of the so-called Secret Service agents with Trump that day weren't even Secret Service agents. They worked for the Homeland Security Department. They were basically agents of Homeland Security. They weren't even properly trained Secret Service agents. In other words, they let Trump twist in the wind. And by the grace of God, he was saved that day. And by the grace of God, he was saved yesterday. 8:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, listen now to Palm Beach, Florida County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw. At his press conference yesterday, he said this is exactly the timeline as we have established. At about 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon, 4 shots rang out in the vicinity of President Trump as he was golfing at the West Palm Beach Golf Club that Trump owns, Trump International West Palm Beach Club. Roll cut 1, Mike.
All right, 1:30 this afternoon. Call came out, shots fired. That was called in by the Secret Service. Because we're in constant contact with them all the time, we were notified of that, and we had units here that immediately sealed off the area.
Now, here is the key, and I think this is why this investigation is going to be different. The shots were fired. It appears that it was the Secret Service agent who fired the shots at Ryan Ruth, the would-be assassin, who had placed himself in a sniper's nest just outside the fence at the West Palm Beach Golf Club. He had a clear line of sight towards Trump as Trump was making his way between the 5th and the 6th hole. When the Ryan Ruth tried to escape after shots were fired, a witness spotted him, saw him clearly, had his phone, took a picture of him, took a picture of the black Nissan he was driving, and even got his license plate. He got it all. And because of that witness, Ryan Ruth was now clearly identified. The witness called 911, and within about 10 minutes on I-95, they made the arrest of him in an adjoining county, Martin County. Roll cut 2, Mike.
Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into a black Nissan, and I took a picture of the vehicle and the tag, which was great. So we had that information. Our real-time crime center put it out to the license plate readers. And we were able to get a hit on that vehicle on I-95 as it was headed into Martin County. We got a hold of Martin County Sheriff's Office, alerted them, and they spotted the vehicle and pulled it over and detained the guy. After that, we took the the witness that witnessed the incident, flew him up there, and he identified as the person that he saw running out of the bushes and jumped into the car.
Now, I'm telling you that had there not been that witness, Ryan Ruth would have probably gotten away. I could be wrong, but it seems to me the one that really caught him, I know the police technically arrested him. I get that. But it seems to me the one that really was the hero here was the witness. He saw him, pictured him, got the car, got the tag, got the whole thing, and then reported it immediately to the police. Now, listen to this. According to Rick Bradshaw, again, that's the sheriff, they found, there's no other way to put it, it was a sniper's nest. Roll cut 3, just outside the chain link fence. So he knew Trump was going to be there. It was the perfect spot for a clear line of sight. And he was waiting. No question. He was waiting for the president. Roll cut 3, Mike.
Now, in the bushes where this guy was is a AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks which were hung on the fence that had ceramic tile in them, and a GoPro, which he was going to take pictures of. So those are being processed right now.
Okay, so the GoPro was it seems he was going to film himself. It's a camera, very good, very light, sophisticated camera. So he was going to film himself assassinate Trump. Why? Because he wants to go down as a martyr for democracy. It was like, look at me, I did it. And look at how I did it. In other words, it was almost like an anti-Trump or an assassination Trump fantasy. Turn it almost into a movie or a video that you can then share online. Now, many people have been texting in, but Jeff, why would he have ceramic tiles in his backpack? Ceramic tiles are used by assassins as a form of like a bulletproof vest. They help block bullets whenever someone is shooting at you. So that's why he had the ceramic tiles. Look, he knew what he was doing. I mean, it's the guy who spent at least 6 months that we know of in Ukraine as a mercenary, working on behalf of Zelensky, trying to recruit foreign fighters and mercenaries to fight in the war against Russia. And we haven't touched on it that much, but on his social media posts, when I say he is a rabid Ukraine war supporter, I mean he is a fanatic. He is an absolute Ukraine war fanatic. And, he was saying everybody around the world has a moral duty to go fight Putin. So the thought of Trump coming to power and ending that fighting and having a negotiated peace settlement drove him berserk. This has got CIA patsy written all over it. 8:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just very, very quickly, I want to play 2 more cuts and then go right back to the phone lines. So this is the Florida County Sheriff, Rick Bradshaw. And what he's claiming, the Secret Service did a phenomenal job. And so apparently he says it was an agent, saw the muzzle of the gun, the barrel of the gun, penetrate the fence line, go through the fence. And so he was like, well, what is that? Was that a gun? What? And then immediately spotted the shooter. And then he took his own gun out, unholstered it, and shot 4 shots at Ryan Ruth. Now, it appears initially, what they're saying is there was no shootout. They thought at the beginning, when the story first broke, there may have been a shootout between the would-be assassin Ryan Ruth and the Secret Service agent. It appears there was no shootout, at least from the reports that we're getting so far. So he spotted him, the Secret Service agent spotted Ruth, fired 4 shots, missed or whatever, the backpacks protected him, and then Ruth made his escape. Listen now to Bradshaw. Roll cut 4, Mike.
The Secret Service agent that was on the course did a fantastic job. What they do is they have an agent that jumps 1 hole ahead of time to where the president was at. And he was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual, at which time the individual took off.
Now, they have him in custody, and they're keeping it very hush-hush. All we know is that apparently Ryan Ruth is very calm, and apparently very self-satisfied. He's not ashamed at all for what he's done. In fact, he thinks he's a hero, and in much of the media, he's already being celebrated as a hero. His son is saying his dad is a hero, that he was willing not only to kill Trump, but had he died, let's say in exchanging fire or return fire from the Secret Service agents, he would have died as a martyr for democracy. Listen now to Rick Bradshaw saying, look, Trump's got a problem. The level of protection was not as high as it should have been because he's not the sitting president. Roll cut 6, Mike.
You got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery. So when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right? And at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course surrounded.
I mean, that to me is inexcusable. Again, as I said earlier, but I want to repeat it because it bears repeating. Barack Obama, when he goes golfing, to give you an example, he's an ex-president, former president, hasn't been in office since, January 2017, gets the same level of protection as Joe Biden does the sitting president, which begs the question, how come Obama is able to get maximum comprehensive protection? They guard the shrubs, they guard the hedges, they guard the entire security perimeter. In fact, they shut the entire golf course down when the dear leader is golfing. But for Trump, he doesn't get protection as good as Obama? And he's not just a former president. He's the presidential candidate now, the leading presidential candidate. Now, I'm telling you, the Republicans are going to go on a political jihad today, demanding, in fact, everywhere on social media, Trump supporters are saying Trump must now have the exact same level of security and protection that Joe Biden does. Period, full stop. So again, it begs the question, why does Obama get the full Monty, the full treatment, the full maximum protection, but not Trump? Especially, my God, after Butler, where they almost blew his brains out? The answer is obvious. They want him dead. I mean, who are we kidding? All right, one last cut, and then here we go. We're going to go back to the phone lines. And this is what I want to stress to everybody. The type of gun, the type of rifle that Ryan Ruth had with the type of high-powered scope. You know, again, for a novice like me, I mean, I'm not a big gun guy. I don't know much about guns. I don't target practice very often. I'm thinking, 300-400 yards. I'm like, that seems pretty far. No. Not if you do target shooting. Not if you do, I mean, people will tell you, with a rifle and a good scope, 300-400 yards, Trump, clear line of sight, the way Ryan Ruth had, Trump would be a dead man. Trump would be dead had that Secret Service agent not spotted the shooter. Listen now to Rick Bradshaw. Roll cut 6A. Mike.
Probably between 300 and 500 yards. But with a rifle and a scope like that, that's not a long distance.
I don't want to say it's a layup. I think it's a bit strong to say a layup, but it's a relatively easy shot. And this guy, who is some kind of mercenary, who apparently was in Ukraine for 6 months, experienced with a rifle, experienced with target shooting and target practice. This would have been Butler, except this time it wasn't the ear, it would have been the head. This would have been the kill shot. 617-266-6868. Fern in Hull. Thanks for holding, Fern, and welcome.
Hi, thank you for taking my call, Jeff.
My pleasure, Fern.
I have two thoughts. Number one, what if they set this guy up to turn around and say the Trump organization put him up to it for the sympathy vote?
Well, the problem with that, Fern, is A, he's not saying that, and B, we have his social media. They may have tried that. Okay. I know that's what the left is saying, online. They're saying, he's doing it to get the sympathy vote. This is somebody Trump put up. The problem now is we have his Facebook, we have his Instagram, we have his X accounts, his posts. Fern, I mean, it's chilling. He echoes everything Kamala and Biden have said about Trump. Everything. Trump is a threat to democracy. Democracy is on the ballot. He goes on about Charlottesville, all the lies about Charlottesville. He goes on about how Trump is going to be a Hitler, how Trump will cancel all elections. So we have his own words. He is a rabid anti-Trumper. He's a Trump hater to his core. The other thing that we have is that he loves the war in Ukraine. He doesn't want the war in Ukraine to end. He's been to Ukraine. There's pictures of him in Ukraine. There's pictures of him meeting with Zelensky. He's bragging about having met Zelensky and how he's calling for foreign fighters and foreign mercenaries to pick up a gun. And he's going on about how dare Trump have a negotiated peace settlement, that we can't have that. And apparently he's met with CIA agents in Washington. He's met, by the way, with politicians in Washington. So there's just too much of a paper trail now. And that was really, you want to talk about that being, confirmed. His son gave an interview. It's in the Daily Mail, and Newsweek has it as well, where he said, oh no, my dad hates Trump. In fact, he says, I hate Trump. He said every reasonable person should hate Trump and want him dead. And he said, I want you to know my dad's a hero. My dad was willing to die. He knew when he was going to kill Trump that the Secret Service would shoot back and they would probably kill him. My dad is a martyr for democracy. He's a hero. And that's what the left is saying. By the way, on the media, Fern, in the media, online, they are hailing this man as a hero. And what they're saying is, who wants to be the real hero? He failed. Will you succeed? Will you step up and be the man that takes out Donald Trump in the name of democracy? So what they're doing now is they're openly inciting and egging someone to assassinate Trump. I mean, Fern, it's beyond disgusting. That's what I said on X yesterday. It's beyond evil. But what I can tell you this with 1,000% certainty, they're going to try to kill him again. There's going to be another assassination attempt on Trump. And that's why I'm urging Trump. You've got to find the mole. You've got to find the person who's leaking. You've got to find that insider. Because they know everything that you do. They know your schedule. Forget the golfing. They know where you're going to be. They know where you're going. They know your daily routine. And they're clearly leaking it. That's why there needs to be a massive investigation. And we, the American people, have to speak out now and tell this regime, if you lay a finger on Trump's hair, just a hair on his head, you touch a hair on his head, there will be hell to pay. Because, Fern, I'm telling you, they're going to try to kill him. They can't beat him. They know they can't beat him. So now they're going to try to JFK him. 850 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me throw this big log on the fire now. Please, whatever you're doing, all of you stop. You need to hear this. It is now being confirmed by multiple media outlets, including by Trump's inner circle, that Trump's decision to go golfing yesterday, he went with a real estate investor. Both of them were on the golf course. Apparently, Sean Hannity and Lindsey Graham were invited to attend as well. Both of them backed out at the last possible minute. So it was supposed to be 4 on the golf course. It ended up being 2. Now, the big point is this. This was a spur-of-the-moment, last-minute decision to go golfing by Trump. It was not planned, say, on Friday or Saturday. You know, hey, I'm going to take a few hours, decompress, relax a little bit, you know, golf for a couple hours or whatever on a Sunday afternoon, recharge my batteries. No. This was a decision made maybe an hour or 2 before they actually hit the link. So, this now begs the question, how did the shooter, how did Ryan Ruth know exactly when to pull his vehicle up, that Trump, again, would be at that particular golf course, that he would be golfing, because, you know, it's not even like everybody knew or whatever, his entourage knew 24 or 48 hours. It was like, you know, boom, basically an hour or 2 before. Yeah, you know what the hell? Let me do a couple hours on the golf course. Sean, you available? Lindsay, you available? You know, and the real estate investor. And he ends up being in the bushes on the 6th hole. Now, there's no other conclusion. There's no other conclusion. Someone very close to Trump, with firsthand knowledge of Trump's movements, was feeding someone information. And that person fed the info to Ryan Ruth. There's no other plausible explanation for this. So, was Trump being set up? Was the FBI or someone within the Secret Service or the Department of Homeland Security, were they now setting Trump up? We failed in Butler. We're going to get him now in West Palm Beach. And just so that you know, this is, again, we have the posts, the social media posts. We have his son. We have so much evidence. But he lives in Hawaii. Okay, apparently that's his place of residence, Ryan Ruth. He graduated from an agricultural school in North Carolina, but he's made his residence in Hawaii the last 5 or 6 years. There's pictures of his pickup truck. He's got a Biden-Harris sticker on it. Like, there's just no getting around it. He has donated, made numerous donations to Act Blue, exclusively to Democratic candidates. He champions numerous progressive causes. He openly bragged that he voted for Biden. He's going to vote for Kamala Harris. And that Trump must be stopped at all costs. It's right there on his social media. Trump's got to plug this hole. He's got to plug this hole, because if he doesn't plug this hole, it could be this week, next week, but there's going to be another one. And there's going to be a third. And if they fail, it's going to be a fourth. And I don't care who you are. You're not Houdini. Eventually, they will get you. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868 is the number. Janet in North Carolina. Thanks for holding, Janet, and welcome.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Janet.
Oh, my husband and I, we just have to wake up to you every morning.
Thank you.
I am just remembering the beginning of Obama's second term, and I do recall that it was referred to as Obama's FBI, and that he had radicalized the FBI. I don't think they've changed since then. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Jeff, for what you do.
Thank you, Janet. No, I think they've gotten worse. I think the few the few conservatives that are left, what even conservative, the few centrists that are left, the few law enforcement professionals that are left, they've been purged. They got rid of them. It's now an anti-Trump viper's nest from top to bottom. Look, just very quick. This is the agent in charge, the Miami special agent in charge of the Trump investigation. His name is Jeffrey. It's either Veltri or Veltri. Anyway, Veltri. He was at the press conference yesterday. Now, I want you to think of this as I'm about to play the cut. He's speaking yesterday. On his social media, he's going on, Trump must be defeated in November. Trump is a threat to democracy. Trump must lose. The stakes are too high. Now, after the presser, he's so arrogant, he didn't realize people were going to look up his profile. He started to scrub all that away. But this is what he said yesterday. Knowing who this guy is, listen to him. This is the lead agent in charge. Roll cut 7. Mike.
We will continue to support this investigation with the full resources of the FBI, alongside our partners with the United States Secret Service and the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, as well as Martin County Sheriff's Office and state and local law enforcement.
Sure. Right. And if you believe that, I've got some swampland in Florida you may be interested in. We're going to pursue this with everything we've got. Damn it, we want justice. No. This guy is put in charge because his job is not to get to the bottom of it. It's not to find out what really happened. It's to do what they did in Butler. It's to sweep it under the rug. 617-266-6868. So, do you believe it was an inside job? Do you believe there is someone close to Trump that is leaking this damaging information about Trump, where his whereabouts, and feeding it to the FBI, who are then obviously working with potential assassins? And what should Trump do to weed out and root out these traitors and Judases? And this was an act of domestic terrorism. Ryan Ruth should be tried as a domestic terrorist. This was Democrat domestic terrorism. He wanted to kill Donald Trump in order to save the Democratic Party. He is a staunch Democrat who said, I will take out their leading presidential candidate so Kamala Harris can win. I mean, if that's not political terrorism, Democrat domestic terrorism, I don't know what isn't. Really, honestly, I don't know. Forgive me. I don't know what is. If that's not straight out terrorism, and Democrat terrorism, I don't know what is. Murder the presidential candidate that stands in the way of Kamala winning the election. And he needs to be tried as such, and he needs to be unmasked and exposed as such. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Rich in Natick. Thanks for holding, Rich, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. I slightly disagree on one point. I mean, I think it's an inside job for sure, but there is one other alternative, and that's you have like a Peter Strzok type person working on the grounds crew at the golf course that could have notified this clown that Trump was teeing off, you know.
So you think maybe it could be somebody at Mar-a-Lago, essentially, right?
Well, the golf course isn't at Mar-a-Lago, right? It's like 5 miles away. I'm just saying it might be a worker, you know, that has like that Peter Strzok mentality.
Yeah, Rich, you're right. No, Rich, anything is possible. Anyway, anything is possible. But even then, my understanding is that West Palm Beach Golf Club is massive. So there are many, how do I say this? There are many courses at that club. So that's another thing many are saying, well, how did he know where Trump was going to be and when on the south part of the golf club? So someone had to give him very, very specific information. And I don't know if somebody at Mar-a-Lago would know that kind of detail of information. I think what Trump now needs to do is he's got to ask himself, who would know this because it's a last-minute decision, and who would know all the details? Oh, I'm sorry, Rich. You're saying somebody at the golf course may have been the mole, correct? Not Mar-a-Lago. Is that what you're saying?
The golf course.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you.
Yeah, I just said that could be one other possibility. I mean, I can't think of anything else that it could be. But, hey, the guy was just there to get his own version of a hole-in-one. You know what I'm saying? But, Jeff, did you see the picture of the guy? He looked like Elizabeth Warren if she transitioned to a man. Did you see him?
Yeah, with his disheveled hair. And by the way, he gave money to Elizabeth Warren in 2020 for a presidential campaign? He's a huge moonbat. Huge moonbat.
The thing?
I'm sorry, Rich.
Yeah.
Can you keep... Yeah, go ahead.
Trump needs to capitalize on this. If his people are listening right now, he needs to make a commercial about threat to democracy, and he needs to show, the Russia collusion, the impeachments, the Chucky Schumer threatening the Supreme Court justices, Schumer saying the intelligence communities can get you 6 ways to Sunday, and then end it with the 2 assassination attempts, and then say, who's the threat to democracy?
Oh, I love it. I love it. And Rich, I think you're not 100. I think you're 1,000% correct. No question about it. He's got to turn this around on the Democrats right now, saying your rhetoric is going to lead to me being assassinated. Your rhetoric is going to tear our country apart. Your rhetoric is what's now leading to Americans afraid to even vote in this election. And point out everything what you just said. Who lied about Russia collusion? You. Who is the one that is trying to jail me time and again? You. Schumer threatening the Supreme Court? You. And then go on. Show clips of Kamala saying if he wins, it's the end of democracy. Democracy's on the ballot. He's Hitler. He's a Nazi. On. And then point to the 2 assassination attempts. And say, and I'm the threat to democracy? Send them a message loud and clear. The time of lies, fear-mongering, panic porn, and hysteria are over. Over. Vote Trump, Vance. Rich, thank you very much for that call. He's got to come back now. Come back and come back hard. Because they're not going to stop. Hell, they didn't even miss a beat. I think that's what's shocking everybody. Okay, Trump almost another assassination attempt. Okay, well, threat to democracy. Yep, Hitler. Yep. CBS, 60 Minutes. They're playing footage of January 6th. He's a threat to democracy. So really, I'll tell you what the media's response was. Darn. Damn it. You didn't get him? Oh, damn. Dang. Somebody, for God's sake, finish it. 617-266-6868. They are now openly embracing political violence and domestic terrorism. That's the Democrats, Kamala, and the media. Don't lecture us about a threat to democracy. The only threat to actually, we're a republic and not a democracy for the millionth time, but let that go. Let's use your language. The only threat to quote-unquote democracy is you. You won't even have a free and fair election. Either you want to bankrupt him, you want to knock him off the ballot, you want to jail him, you want to imprison him, you want to tie him up in lawfare, and now you want to kill him. 617-266-6868. Holly on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Holly, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Holly?
Well, I'm good, but I'm wondering, since Sean Hannity and Lindsey Graham backed out on him at the last minute, it kind of makes it look suspicious. I kind of don't trust Hannity, and I definitely don't trust Lindsey Graham. So I think there's something wrong with that picture. There's no question in my mind that someone close to him is setting him up. That's really no question to me. That's the first thing. And they, like a lot of your callers have said just recently, is that they're not going to stop. They're going to keep going until they complete their mission. They're not interested in helping or saving him. I think the worst crime, and I don't want to veer off topic too much here, but I think the reason why they're trying to shut him down is because the worst crime that you can commit, in my opinion, and the worst atrocity you can commit against God is to hurt a child. And the pedophilia runs so far, wide, and deep that people are either involved, know about it, and are told to shut up, or they're being paid off. Now, if Donald Trump gets into office, he's going to tear all this open and expose all of these people for what they are. That's why they want to kill him. These people who are trying to kill him are, set out by those very people as their minions to do their dirty work. And I think you're right. I think Donald Trump needs to find out who this is and stop it in its tracks, because it's not going to end.
I don't want to go there. I really don't, but they keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And I think now we have to, as a country, be prepared for this contingency. We have to. So I'm going to ask you something, Holly. And if you don't want to answer, I completely understand, because it's a bit of a dark topic, but it needs to be addressed in the wake of what happened yesterday and what happened in Butler. God forbid the third time, as the saying goes, is the charm for the left. You know, the expression, at first you don't succeed, try again. And they do manage to get him this time. They finally managed to get him. They get their wish. What do you think will happen to our nation, God forbid, if they do assassinate the president? No bluster, no bravado, no, just really from the heart. If we hear Donald Trump was killed today on the campaign trail, what do you think the reaction will be in the country and around the world?
I think we're going to resolve it in a civil war. I think, unfortunately, people are going to be pissed off, and I think our country is going to be changed forever. So many people will be devastated and pissed off. And I think that, if you really want to destroy this country, then that's what they will do. And that's what they are trying to do, because they don't want justice for anybody who commits crimes. And unfortunately, Donald Trump has got to hire his own secret, his own security. Otherwise, unfortunately, Jeff, and I hate to say this, they're probably going to succeed. And I pray for that man every day. I pray for his safety, and I'm asking everybody around the country and around the world who supports Donald Trump, we need his prayers. We need prayers for him, for his safety, and for his family's safety.
God bless you. Holly, God bless you. You pretty much sum up exactly what I'm thinking. I don't want civil war. You know that. That's the last thing I would want. And this is my fear. If something happens to Trump, okay, God forbid, and I do pray for him all the time. And one of the prayers, however you want to pray is up to you. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But I think the prayer to St. Michael is, I have the plaque of St. Michael right beside me, where I do my show from when I do it from home, like today. And it's the prayer to St. Michael. And I use it to protect me from evil spirits. Because I do believe there's wicked evil in the world. Pray to St. Michael. Pray to God. Pray to Jesus. Pray to whoever you want to pray to. But please pray for Donald Trump. Because my fear is, if they should assassinate him, someone's going to want to assassinate Kamala Harris. It's going to lead to a tit for tat. And then that eventually will lead into massive political violence. That's why what the media is doing now, I cannot tell you how reckless, how irresponsible. It's criminal. Honestly, what they're doing now, it's criminal. to glorify this guy, to deify this guy, to not unequivocally condemn what happened, but instead to do what so many of them are saying, which is, well, you had it coming. Well, Donald, stop bashing the migrants. You bash the migrants, someone's going to shoot you. Or stop saying you're going to bring peace to the war between Russia and Ukraine, because someone's going to put a bullet in your head. They're playing literally with fire, with sticks of dynamite. This thing is a tinderbox and it can blow. And to me, this is unforgivable what the media has done. The Democrats, the media, should never, ever be forgiven for what they're doing now. Because they're putting this country and all of us in such needless jeopardy. You don't like them, vote against them. You lose, then you fight again at the ballot box. Okay? Relax. There will be no dictatorship. He's not the second coming of Hitler. And seriously, if you really do believe that, honestly, get off the crack pipe. 9:19 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare, baby. Okay, so very quickly, Melania Trump released a video where she basically said that she and the entire Trump family believe that the first assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania was an inside job. They go, nothing adds up. We don't trust some people in the Secret Service. We certainly don't trust people within Department of Homeland Security and within the FBI. And she's very worried, she said, about Trump, her husband's safety. And she's now very worried that some aspects of the deep state are compromised and out to get her husband. Listen to her now in another Twitter video bashing the FBI, saying they're out to humiliate our family, they're out to get our family, and that FBI raid where they stormed our home in Mar-a-Lago with shoot-to-kill orders is something I will never forget. Roll cut 27, Mike.
I never imagined my privacy would be invaded by the government here in America. The FBI raided my home in Florida and searched through my personal belongings. This is not just my story. It serves as a warning to all Americans. A reminder that our freedom and rights must be respected.
And her parents, just like my parents, were from the former Yugoslavia, communist Yugoslavia, and Croatia and Slovenia, which is the republic that she's from. Both of them broke away at the same time to declare their independence. So all I'm saying is she knows what communism is because she lived it. And in particular, her family, her parents lived it. And what she's saying is the FBI is now becoming no different than the KGB. 617-266-6868. Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Thanks for taking the call, Jeff. I mean, after I heard about the second attempt, all I can think of is that our country is just so close to collapse. I mean, when you have the federal government that you can't trust the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ, or any other security team. I mean, let's face it, the first one was a botched effort. Nobody was looking. They didn't have the manpower or the quality there. And basically it was a pedestrian that found out the shooter on the roof. And then in this particular case, it was another pedestrian that just happened to have a camera there and take some key shots that ensured that this person was going to be caught. But where were the drones? Where were the dogs? Where are all the people that should be looking into the bushes and into the surrounding buildings and rooftops? Where are they? All not looking in the right place. Jeff, Our country is ready to collapse if we do not. And the media, let's take a look at this media. This media is absolutely insane and corrupt. I mean, look at what that shooter said, this last shooter said, and probably the first one too. It's a regurgitation of everything that he hears from all of these corrupt liberals who are involved in the media, thinking that they're journalists. What they're basically doing is putting a wanted sign on our president. And let's face it, while that's going on and we're getting shot at with Trump, in Rehoboth, you got Biden on the beach, and he's perfectly fine. Not that I would say anything happened to him, but let's face it, nothing ever seems to happen that way. And I can tell you right now, Jeff, there will be a civil war. People now see the truth. And the truth of the matter is we've got a corrupt government. Not all, but a lot of it. And I'm telling you right now, it needs to be straightened out or it's going to cause a collapse. These liberals need to wake up because let's face it, you want to kill Trump? Do you really want to kill Trump? I guess you do. Because the fact of the matter is that those are the people that you listen to. That's the ones that have been feeding you all this information, the hatred, the racism, all of it. I'm sick of it. The rest of the people in the country are sick of it, and it's going to cost us Trump. Trump is going to get shot, and it could be by some professionals because, let's face it, all these amateurs got in. Why can't 4 people from Iran get in and do the job? So God darn it, I'm saying right now, this country needs to wake up, the people need to wake up, and the media needs to be held responsible legally.
I'm with you, Dan, all the way. I mean, really, amen. Amen. But, Dan, this is my fear now. And I'm speaking again from the heart as an historian, but just also as a citizen who loves this republic and loves this country more than people can ever know. This is starting to remind me now of the 1850s. You can just see it. The hatred is just boiling over. The demonization that's taking place, what I see what liberals are doing now on a regular basis, dehumanizing, libeling, defaming Trump, but they're dehumanizing us. It's not just Trump, it's us, his voters. They hate us. They really hate us. And they don't stop. We're Nazis, we're racists, we're white supremacists, we're fascists. They just can't stop. And there's a certain point where you have enough people who begin to believe this garbage that you've created a Frankenstein's monster. And that's what they've now done. Both Thomas Crooks and this guy, Ryan Ruth, were radicalized Democrats who believed the garbage that's being spewed by Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and the media. And both came very close to killing Trump. And once they kill Trump, I'm telling you, if they do, there will be no going back. Be careful what you wish for, Moonbats. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Best audience in the business. So, I got a brilliant text, a big supporter of the show, 602. Now, it's a long text, so I'm just going to break it down very quickly. In a nutshell, and this person is very knowledgeable about guns, rifles, weapons of all kind. He said, Jeff, the weapon that was used by, or attempted to be used by Ryan Ruth, this AK-47 style rifle, he says, it appears to me to be a Russian-style SKS, which is a variant of the AK-47, but is a little longer. Anyway, he goes on to describe the shape of the magazine, the kind of bullets that these rifles tend to shoot. And he says it's basically a mid-range 30 caliber round. Now, the long point of this, okay, the point of all this is that, this is not the best weapon if you want to shoot somebody. There are other rifles that are better. However, why would he use this? This is the key. And according to this texter, Kevin, the reason I believe he used this particular rifle, I'm reading directly now, is because it's what he would have used in Ukraine. And it's what he's most familiar with. Now, remember, he served in Ukraine. He was in Ukraine. He was part of a mercenary mission in Ukraine. So this rifle, it seems pretty obvious now, was a rifle that he got, purchased, whatever, or was given to him in Ukraine. How did he bring it back to the United States? He lives in Hawaii. How did he manage to get it into the mainland? I mean, these are so many questions now that need to be answered. But there is now a clear Ukraine connection to all of this. On top of the fact that he was, not only does he hate Trump, and he donated all this money to Democrats and supports Biden and said that Trump is a threat to democracy and democracy's on the ballot and he must be stopped at all costs. He also went on about how we must win the war in Ukraine, that the war in Ukraine is everything, and that we can't allow Trump to come back to power because he's going to have a peace settlement. He's going to get a peace deal, and that will end the war. So right away, I'm thinking, honestly, CIA patsy, somebody tied to the intelligence services, maybe even tied to Ukraine. There's a lot of angles here, a lot of angles that need to be explored and investigated. Okay, here's someone from law enforcement who wrote me this. As a detective, he goes, the first person, the expression loose lips sink ships. He goes, the first person that should be looked at, in other words, just to gather information, is Lindsey Graham and Sean Hannity. Why? Because they both did not, at the last second, they canceled the golfing outing with Trump, but they were asked. They were invited to golf. And as this person says, Lindsey Graham in particular can't keep his big yapper shut. He goes, I'll bet you, Jeff, he told at least 24 people that Trump invited him to golf. And the feds probably have his phone being listened to. And they probably have him as a double agent, as he has shown to blow elections like the midterm, and I remember this, when he turned a red wave into a red trickle. Do you remember when he did this? When he came out within weeks of the midterms, blabbering on about introducing a national abortion ban at 15 weeks. I remember at the time, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you trying to mobilize all the women in the country to come out? Like, what are you doing? Anyway, this person says women came out in droves. Even Republican women voted Democrats thanks to Lindsey Graham. So the point is, look at Lindsey Graham's phone. Look at Sean Hannity's phone. Who did they call? Who did they speak to? And then maybe you can find out who they, the people they spoke to, who they blabbed. And maybe you can track it down. So, look, there's no question now. DeSantis has to take control of this investigation, not the FBI. And he's got to have his people go to Lindsey Graham, Sean Hannity, and right away to Trump. Who did you tell? Who knew? So you only decided to go golfing that day, that morning? It was a spur-of-the-moment thing? So how could this information have gotten out? Who possibly was on that information chain? That's how you're going to find the leaker. That's how you're going to find the mole. Okay, very, very quick. I'm telling you, it's going to be a big story. I don't know why, but because to me, she's a bit of a small fish in all of this. But it's, for whatever reason, there's a visceral reaction among Trump supporters, and I don't blame them. Remember Alexander Vindman? Does that name ring a bell? The liar who was the so-called, and I'm using this in air quotes, the liar, the whistleblower who came out about Trump's first phone call to Zelensky and said, oh my God, it's quid pro quo. He's putting pressure on him to investigate Joe Biden. Do you remember that? And it was we know, a perfectly good phone call. And in fact, we know that Biden was up to his eyeballs in Ukrainian corruption. Well, Vindman's wife when the assassination attempt took place, she went on social media, and it has now caused a massive uproar. Massive uproar. So, Vindman's wife, Rachel Vindman, okay, the wife of Alexander Vindman, went on X, and here's what she wrote. Almost immediately after the assassination attempt, that news broke. Quote, "No ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon." Mocking the first assassination attempt, like basically it was much ado about nothing. Oh, his ear was harmed. Big deal. By the way, a firefighter was killed. Corey Comparatori was killed. Two other people were seriously wounded. So what, you think political assassinations are funny? Is it a joke to you? And then, well, nobody killed him, so what's the problem? Go on with your Sunday afternoon. Big deal. Big effing deal. That's Alexander Vindman. He, by the way, came out and defended his wife. He doubled down. So Vindman came out and defended her, and then she came out and defended herself again. So what they're saying, openly and clearly, we don't care if you try to assassinate him. We don't care if you try to kill him. It's not a story. What we want, wink, wink, is we want him dead. She should be absolutely, utterly ashamed of herself. These people are sick. They're psychotic. They're sick. They're evil. And they must never come to power again, ever. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Nancy in Attleboro. Thanks for holding, Nancy, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Nancy.
I would try to answer some of the questions that are raised. First, I'll raise two questions, and then thirdly, I will question my idea totally as being not something false, but far-fetched. My first answer to a question: how did the shooter know exactly when Trump would be at that golf course, at that position, at that time? The answer is he didn't know. He didn't know when the time that he would pass playing on the course. But he was lying and waiting, possibly for an hour, could be more, in plain sight, not being seen, waiting for him to come by. Second, how did they know he was going to be there? It goes back to over a year ago when they raided Mar-a-Lago, when they went looking for the documents, and they were throughout the home, the mansion. They were in the bedrooms. They were in the hallway. They were in dens. They were where the documents were thrown on the floor, taking photos. Did they plant a recording device? Is there a device that somehow shows their movement, their recordings, where they're going to be? The FBI or anybody listening in, if that's possible. But then, when I question my last comment, how would they know? Maybe I would think that the Trump family had already surveillanced the whole property after they left. So they must have done a sweep of the mansion and found nothing. But the question is, could something have been planted all along and that person would be shooter?
It's a magnificent question. It's a brilliant question. And Leslie, I think you're really onto something. Sorry, Nancy, my bad. Nancy, I think you're really onto something, Nancy. Look, I think Trump is being spied on. Again, they're spying on him, and they know his every move. 9:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Dave in Methuen. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
I'm just going to say that the guy Ryan, the attempted assassination, the second one, the father should be held accountable because, he knew that the guy was combat ready and ready to go. I think he was probably behind the whole thing. They put Charles Manson in prison. Maybe they can find a way to get him in prison.
Well, Dave, I don't even know if his father's alive. Ryan Ruth is 58 years old. So, I mean, he's a grown man. I mean, he's not some teenager. I mean, he's pushing 60. No, what I find more interesting is the opposite. His son. The way his son is praising his father and saying he's a great man and who wouldn't want to kill Trump and who doesn't hate Trump. And my dad is willing to be a martyr for democracy. I'd like to know if his son helped him out. I'd like to know if other family members helped him out. That to me is the big question. He certainly didn't do it alone. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But no, we're talking about a 58-year-old man now, Dave. I mean, just take a picture. Just take a look at a picture of him. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, he looks a little, like a lot of liberals. He looks a little wee-oo. Doesn't look right in the head. Dave, thank you very much for that call. Maria in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Maria, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I keep hearing people say that, we as Americans would need to stand up if something happened to Trump. I just don't see it happening. I've watched our corrupt government lock us down during COVID, which was a bad cold, and we did nothing. The potential vice president had his police department paintballing his citizens back into their home. We did nothing. Our government assisted Antifa and BLM to burn our cities down. And the only city that rose up was Manchester. The people of New Hampshire came out with their guns and stood side by side with the police, and BLM and Antifa couldn't get anything done. We're watching as they're going after our presidential pick in every way possible, and all we do is wave flags. And what do we all say? Oh, we can't do anything. We have to go to work. Well, if Harris and Walz get in, there won't be enough work for us to be able to stand up because we won't be able to cover all the taxes that they're going to do. We're watching. We watch as thousands of people stream across our border, and a good majority are criminals, and we do nothing. Where is that proverbial, oh, there's a gun behind every blade of grass? We do nothing. I don't understand.
Maria, look, that's the question I've been asking now for I don't know how many years. I mean, I honestly, I don't know what to tell you. I'm being really honest with you, like I'm in the confessional. The complacency, I don't know, just the people are just so apathetic. The apathy out there. Everybody wants someone else to do something over and over and over and over again. And I even see it the way people talk about Trump. And I know there's supporters, and I love his supporters, but they're like, well, Trump will do this, and Trump will do that, and Trump will fix this, and Trump's got to do this, and Trump has to do that. I'm like, he's a man. He's not a god. He can't just snap his fingers. There's only so much any one man can do. And, we can help him in so many ways. And we just don't do anything. Or we do not, some of us do a lot, obviously, I know that. But many of us do nothing. They just do nothing. And I think that's what keeps emboldening the left. They realize we just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And there's never any pushback. So, Maria, I wish I could disagree with you, but in all honesty, I can't. Maria, thank you for your honesty and thank you for your courage. Matt on the Cape. Thanks for holding, Matt, and welcome.
Jeff, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm just happy that the president is safe and he's well, and it could have been so much uglier. So I'm a little bit relieved, to be honest, Matt.
Michael, He's watching over that, man.
Matt, hold on. Let's try to. For some reason now, you sound like one of these robots out of Star Wars. Let's see if we can reconnect with Matt. All right, Matt. How about now?
That any better, Jeff?
Yes. Go ahead, Matt. Loud and clear.
No, I just said, Jeff, amen to that. And St. Michael, and God is watching over this man. But, we've been talking about this now for a couple of years that, these Democrats, this deep state, fourth branch of government, administrative state, whatever you want to call it, they're going to steal the election. They're going to take it. And if they don't steal it, they're going to do something worse. Well, now it's getting very apparent they're not going to be able to steal it. So this is the something worse. And you're right, they're not going to stop it. I just want to go back and see if you remember within the last, I'm going to say it was about the last month, 2 people and no bigger snakes and scumbags in Washington said the exact same thing. And those 2, again, the 2 biggest insider traitors, Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi, said the exact same sentence, that come November, Trump will not be on the ballot. They both said that, and they said it within about 1 week of each other. And there's no 2 other people that are more plugged in with the deep state and what these people are capable of doing than those 2. So, Donald Trump, like you said, everybody else, he should have probably did it a long time ago, but he's got to get some better and different security around him. And like you said, ferret out this rat or rats that have infiltrated his campaign or the Secret Service.
Amen. Perfect way to end the show. Honestly, the perfect bow to the show. It's obvious now from the second assassination attempt. It's crystal clear. The deep state, the Democrats, the media, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden want Trump dead. He's got to watch his back. Bye-bye.